Hey guys, this is DJ Slope from Slope's Game Room, and I want to tell you all about a little journey that I've gone on this year, the 52 game challenge. Now as a gamer, my whole life I've had hundreds if not thousands of games, and honestly, I don't complete that many games. My attention span is quite small and I end up just moving on to the next one. However, this year, while using Reddit, I saw that Retro Collect was doing a 52 game challenge, and I decided to take part. I thought this would be a good way to try and complete more games, and secondly, try and discover a few games that I once missed. So without further ado, these are the 52 games that I have completed this year. Captain Toad for the Nintendo Wii U. A great little game for such an underrated console. I got this for Christmas last year, and if you haven't played it, it's quite a unique, cool little game. Definitely go and check this one out. Number 2, Titan Attacks for the PS Vita. Okay, I've had this one on the PC for quite a while, but there's just something awesome about playing indie games on your Vita. What this game is essentially a new age Space Invaders, and it's really, really good. You can upgrade your ship, it has great music, and honestly it's totally worth your time. Number 3, Kirby's Dream Land. I've never actually completed an old Kirby game before, so I decided to download this one on the Virtual Console for my 3DS, and I really enjoyed it. It is quite easy, but I think that's sort of some of the charm with Kirby games. They're a little bit, pick up and play. But honestly, I really like this one. Number 4, Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris on the PlayStation 4. Another game that I really, really enjoyed. I played the original back in the day on the 360 with my sister, and this one I just knew I had to get again. The co-op's gone up to 4 player now, and you can play online, and really, it's just more of the same. I really do hope they make a third game in this series, as I do enjoy a good top-down shooter. Number 5, Wario Land. Now I obviously downloaded this one on the Virtual Console as well on my 3DS. Now I've completed a few Wario Land games before, but I don't think I've ever completed this original one, so I decided to give it a go. And it's really, really good. I actually really do enjoy the Wario Land series. They're a nice different sort of gameplay style than the original Mario games, and I'm definitely going to try and find out any others that I've missed. Number 6. Another World for the PS Vita. Now I remember playing this game back in the day and quite enjoying it, but I never completed it. And oh my god, I was missing out so much. This game is so good, as you know if you've seen my Cinematic Platformers episode. And if you haven't played this game before, it's an absolute necessity. The art style, the music, just everything about the game is perfect. And it's another great title to play on your Vita. Number 7, The Binding of Isaac. This game made my top 10 list of games last year, and oh my god, it's so good. Sort of like a dungeon crawler game, very similar to those Zelda sections, but a lot more harsh and, no puzzle elements or anything like that. I played this over and over and over again. I would play this until early hours of the morning, and finally I completed it. If you have a Vita, definitely pick this one up. Number 8, the Super Mario Brothers. Okay, I've definitely completed this one before, but every couple of years I like to do it again. It's a brilliant game. I don't need to tell you that. If you've not played this game, this is the number 1 game you need to try on this list. Number 9, Monument Valley. Probably the best iOS and Android game out there. This is sort of similar to Captain Toad or something like that, where you have to move the whole landscape around to see where you're going next. And for all you PSP lovers out there, this game's quite similar to Echo Crow. Everyone out there has a phone, and everyone should definitely try this one out. Number 10, Rayman Fiesta for Android. If you've played this game, you'll know how hard of a challenge this was to complete. Sure, I didn't get every single blue gem, but I did get all the way to the end, and that's no small feat. For ages, people with mobile phones have been trying to get to grips with a good platforming game, and this one, more sort of an endless runner I suppose, have absolutely nailed platforming on mobile. Again, if you've got a mobile phone, this game only costs a couple of quid and it's totally worth it. Number 11, Mickey Mania on the Mega Drive, emulated on the PSP. I've completed this game many times in the past. If you're a fan of old school 16-bit Disney platformers, this game should be right up there. I did a review on it on my Fun and Fancy Free episode, and every few years or so I like to play through it again, and it is quite tricky in later levels, so it does keep you on your toes. Number 12, Anomaly HD on Android. I've had this one on my PC for quite a while, but again I do like playing games on my mobile device, and this game is really good. This game definitely caught my interest when I first found out about it. It's basically a tower defense, but this time you're the troops going through, shooting all the towers. It's a very unique style of game, and it's definitely worth your time. There's a few sequels for this one as well. The game's a good length, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. Number 13, The Swapper for the PS Vita. This game, although probably a little bit too long, is really, really good. Sort of a puzzle platformer where sometimes you'll be sitting there for hours just looking at the screen trying to work out what to do. You have this duplication gun where you can make yourself duplicated, put yourself over on this part of the screen and this part of the screen, stand on different switches to be able to make your way through. It has a quite clever storyline that unveils itself as you play, and this game for me was free on one of the PlayStation Plus months towards the beginning of the year. Although I'd probably never play it again, I did have fun with this one. Number 14, Golden Axe Revenge of Death Adder for the arcades. Now I'm assuming you guys have seen my complete history of Golden Axe episode, and if you have, you'll know that this game is probably one of my favourites in the entire series. It's typical arcade length, so not too long, but with that said, it's the perfect sequel to the original Golden Axe game. The graphics are great, the power-ups are great, one of the guy's abilities is to actually give energy to other characters. All in all, it's the perfect side-scrolling beat-em-up game. Number 15, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. As soon as I finished off with the last side-scrolling beat-em-up, I wanted a bit more. I'd always heard about Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, but I'd never played it, and thankfully now I have. This game is brilliant. Such a unique style where you're going along literally beating up dinosaurs. If you're a fan of any games like Golden Axe, Final Fight, Streets of Rage, you definitely owe it to yourself to play Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Number 16, The Room 2. I'd heard quite a few good things about this game, and finally I decided to give it a go, and it's really quite good. It's fairly hard to explain, and it works really well as a touchscreen game. You see an object, you move it around, you're trying to find hidden stuff on the object to open it up and eventually get a secret that's inside. You can use the secret over onto another box or another item, do the same until you eventually get out of the room. A quality little game that's definitely worth trying out. Number 17, Dimmerho for the arcades. Okay, so it's back to the arcades for a nice shmup. I never really know what to say about these sort of games, as they're all really quite fun. This is definitely one of the better ones that I've played. It's just a good, typical shmup of a game. Number 18, Don Don Pachi for the arcades. Another shmup that really does look the part, another really good one that I'm happy that I played, with a very good soundtrack. Number 19, Mega Man The Power Battle. I've always quite enjoyed the Mega Man franchise, but this one is more of a one-on-one fighting game. Thankfully they didn't change it up too much, and thankfully because it was on main, I had a lot of credits. Number 20, Armored Warriors for the arcade. Obviously it was at this point when I was really enjoying those main games. And this one is another one that I'd never played before. It's a run along beat 'em up sort of game, and for the first few levels it's really quite cool. You can actually change your Armored Warrior's weapon. However, this mechanic does wear thin quite a bit towards the end, and it's got to be said, by the end I was a little bit bored. Still, it was quite an enjoyable experience, and thankfully it wasn't that long, and I still would recommend it. Number 21, Edge Extended for Android. This is a puzzle game that again I've had on the PC for quite some time, but lends itself perfectly for mobile devices. It's simple enough, you control a cube from one side of the level to the end, and there's really not much else to say. The game's very simplistic, but that's how it's supposed to look. It can be very, very tricky in later levels, and again, although I'd never play it again, I really did enjoy it. Number 22, Typewriter for Android. Another game that I've had on the PC for quite some time, but again, it lends itself very well to Android devices. A minimalistic platformer where you actually find yourself going through levels that are filled up with certain fonts. It tells you the history of those fonts as you play through. There's a few puzzly sort of elements, and although this sounds dull as hell, I really enjoyed it. I'm probably going to pick up and play this game again in a couple of years' time, and I suggest that you guys out there that are fans of games like Limbo definitely give this one a look. Number 23, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask for the 3DS. Now, I didn't have an N64 back in the day, and I've said that on quite a few occasions. I was never really the biggest fan of 3D Zelda games either. I bought a 3DS because I knew I finally wanted to try out Ocarina of Time, and unfortunately, I just couldn't get into it. Majora's Mask, however, did grab me. I'm so happy I finally got to play this game. It's not the best Zelda game I've played, not by far, but it's unique enough to feel completely fresh even this far into the game's life. The 3D on this one was really good, the collector set was really nice too, and I see myself playing this game every few years or so. A quality little game, and at the moment is probably my favourite 3D Zelda game. Number 24, The Simpsons Arcade. Everyone knows this game. I have great memories back when I was on holiday in Florida and trying this game out, and every couple of years or so, I play through it again. It's a wicked little game. Sure, it's a bit dated now, but probably the game's biggest draw is taking you back to a time when The Simpsons ruled the world. Everyone and their mother should definitely play this game. Number 25, Mickey's Ultimate Challenge for the Mega Drive. Now, if you've been watching my Slopes Game Room Does Disney videos, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of this game. Definitely made for kids. It's so easy. You can complete the game in about 20-30 minutes, and honestly, that's why I played it, to get it up on this list. Number 26, Jak and Daxter for the PlayStation 2. Back when this game came out, it was probably one of my favourite games of all time. It's aged a little bit, but I tell you what, there is still so much fun to have with this game. The guys that made the Crash Bandicoot games pretty much here made the perfect carry-on from that franchise. And although I never really got into the sequels, Jak and Daxter will always hold a place in my heart as one of the best times I've ever had with a good sort of open world 3D platformer. This is probably one of the very best PlayStation 2 games you can get. Oh, and side note, it's been ported quite well, but the sequel, number 2, has been ported so badly, it's just absolutely unplayable. Just something to think about if you're going to get this for your PS Vita. Number 27, Super Mario Ball. I remember seeing this advertised when it first came out and thinking, oh my god, Nintendo, really? However, I never played it, and it's always stuck with me. So I decided to give it a go, and the game, it's alright. Thank God for save states. It's incredibly frustrating. It's not the worst Mario game, not by far, but you can see why they never continued with the Mario Ball games. Number 28, Z-Blade. If you're going to take anything away from this, the soundtrack is outstanding. Sort of like an early Prodigy's Experience album. Another typical shmup bullet hell sort of game, and I really enjoyed this one. Again, I never really know how to review these sort of games, but I did have a lot of fun with this one, and I'm definitely going to play it again. But this time, hooked up to the sound system. Number 29, In the Hunt for the arcades. Again, a game I didn't really know too much about and I never played before, so I finally managed to boot it up on main, and oh my god, I'm so happy I did. And what's quite weird about this is normally underwater levels are quite annoying, but this game is so much fun. Move aside, Steel Diver. This is the best submarine game I've ever played. Number 30, Pikmin 3. You want my review? It's the very best game on the Wii U. I love the Pikmin franchise. And although this game was really made for the Wii and then eventually booted up over onto the Wii U, I'm so happy with this game. I've probably completed it now about 5 times since I've had it. And if I do another 52 game challenge next year, you can guarantee that I'm going to play it again then. Number 31, Final Fight for the arcades. And yes, unless you're playing the Mega CD version, this is the only version to play. Come on, who doesn't like a bit of Final Fight? Sure, it's not as good as Streets of Rage, as I've said over and over again in my videos, but nor is most games. Final Fight is still so much fun to play, and I play it every few years or so as a good way to kick back and play a good classic game. Number 32, Metal Slug 4 for the arcades. The Metal Slug series, which one day I will cover on Slope's Game Room, are some of the best run-along shooting games you can get. The graphics are incredible, the music's incredible, the animation is so good, but come on, I don't need to tell you guys that. I play Metal Slug games all the time. The Metal Slug games really are complete benchmarks for the genre. Number 33, Injustice Gods Among Us for the PlayStation 4. Finally better put some of that PlayStation 4 to use, am I right? To be fair, I'm not the best person to be reviewing one-on-one fighting games. However, what I will say is this up-res version of an old PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 game is done quite badly. The frame rates, even in the cutscenes, are really quite bad. The game looks quite good, I suppose, for a launch game. And while I might chuck it on every so often if a friend comes around, it's definitely not going to be a go-to game of choice. Number 34, Ori and the Blind Forest for the PC. I cannot praise this game enough. I was so hooked into the storyline, the animation, the world of Ori and the Blind Forest. I did a sort of half-assed review of this earlier on in the year, which I did nothing but just gush over the game. As soon as it goes on sale on the Xbox One, I'm probably going to pick it up again and play through it again, as it's the one game on this list that I've been itching to pick up and play again. One of the very best games, in my opinion, ever made. Number 35, Wolf the Red Hood Diaries for the PC. Okay, so I finally got to get my hands on my first Kickstarter game. And honestly, it's not as bad as everyone makes it out. It's quite an upsetting story behind this whole game where the company finally released it. It's only about 3 or 4 hours long. The mechanics are almost there but not perfect, and the company have basically gone into bankruptcy. Quite an upsetting game over message sent over by the CEO of the company. Thankfully the IP has now been picked up by another third-party studio, so we will hopefully get to see more from this IP. And for me, I did have quite a lot of fun playing Wolf the Red Hood Diaries. Sure, like I say, the mechanics aren't all there, but it looks great, plays great, the storyline's pretty good as well. Unfortunately, it's quite short, and honestly, I might actually play this game again in the future. Number 36, Asterix for the arcade. We hadn't long come back from our holiday to Parc Asterix in France. And for all of you guys that don't know, yes, there is a theme park dedicated to Asterix. The game is a good run along typical arcade fighting game. Some of the mechanics are a little bit dated, it gets a little bit boring I suppose towards the end. Thankfully, good arcade games never last that long. And I've played this one through and completed it quite a few times, and I probably will continue to do so in the future. If you want a good way of losing a good couple of hours and playing a good fun game, then Asterix isn't a bad way to go. Number 37, Bayonetta for the Wii U. I bought the box set of Bayonetta 1 and 2 and I've still not played number 2. But I'd never played number 1, so obviously I went for that one first. And I had great fun playing this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to complete number 2 before the end of the year. I'm probably going to do that one for next year's 52 game challenge. But yeah, this game is quality. It's so over the top, but that's its charm. Raunchy as hell, great gameplay, definitely worth playing by everyone. Number 38, Moonwalker for the arcades. This is when I was trying to get my wife into playing a few more games, and I personally have completed Moonwalker several times for the arcade, as you probably guessed if you've watched my Michael Jackson video games video. And although very cringe-worthy in some places, I love playing this game. A good sort of half side-scrolling and top-down beat-em-up that's definitely worth your time. One of the better ones out there in my opinion. Number 39, Captain America and the Avengers for the arcade. I believe it was about this time we just had a marathon of the 2 Captain America movies, so we decided to play this one. It's another cool game, but this one does get quite boring quite quickly. As I've said before, thankfully it's an arcade game, so they never last that long, and there is still fun to have here. Definitely worth your time, but there are better side-scrolling beat-em-ups out there. Number 40, The Turtles Arcade for the arcade. I remember playing this game on the NES and being absolutely blown away. Then I remember seeing the arcade version, and about 10 years later, seeing it again on the NES, thinking it looked like the arcade version. How our stupid young minds work. So yeah, Turtles Arcade is an absolute classic. Everyone in the world that's into gaming or Turtles needs to play this game. Great good Turtles storyline, brilliant animation, it's perfect. In fact, I want to play this one again right now. Number 41, Hook for Android. This was quite a weird game, this one. You basically click on the circle and the rod pulls its way in. It reminds me of those diagrams I used to have to do when I was an engineer at college. It's quite fun, something to do when you're sitting on the toilet. Definitely one of the better puzzle games that you can pick up on your Android device. Number 42, Portal 2 for the PC. This is probably one of my favourite games of all time. Now, I'm not a big first-person shooter fan, so for me to say that is a big feat. I adore Stephen Merchant's comedy that he brought to the game. I love the world of Portal, and if they ever make a number 3, it'll never be as good as number 2. But let's be honest, that's the same for pretty much all of Valve's games. 100% worth picking up and playing. And for me, it's a game that I'm going to complete probably every year or so until the end of time. Number 43, Streets of Rage 3D for the 3DS. Again, another one of the greatest games of all time. And as it is a game I pick up all the time, I decided to play the 3DS version. And it's really, really worth it. I cannot praise this game enough. If you've seen my most popular video, the Streets of Rage Complete Story video, then you're going to know I'm a massive, massive fan of this franchise. And until Sega get their asses into gear and make a number 4, this is definitely going to do. My favourite game from the whole series. Number 44, Unfinished Swan for the PS Vita. This game's quite weird. Everything's white, you keep throwing black dots everywhere in sort of a Splatoon style I suppose. That eventually show you the path of where you need to go. I played this game through completely in one sitting. And sure, the game isn't that long, but it's a cheap game and it's totally worth your time. I had quite a lot of fun playing this one, and I'm probably going to play it again in a year or two. It has quite a cool storyline, very cool clever puzzle mechanics, and a really, really nice art style. Number 45, Race the Sun for the PS Vita. Again, another game that's been on the PC for quite some time, but totally made for the Vita. This was about the time when I was DJing at Download Festival this year, and I couldn't drink anything. So when I wasn't DJing and I was out at the festival looking after my son Toby, when he was asleep, I was pretty much always playing this game. I was hooked. Really hard when you first pick it up, but eventually you become so good at it that you look pretty awesome when you're playing it. I really enjoyed this one. Number 46, Assassin's Creed China for the Xbox One. After watching Larry's review on the game, I realised that this is the sort of game that I would really enjoy. And although the game looks quite bland, which definitely does great on you towards the end of the game, I had a lot of fun with this one. The mechanics are pretty much there, and I do hope that it's sold enough to be able to make number 2 and a number 3. From what I understand, the original idea is to turn this into a trilogy of games, and if so, this is definitely a trilogy that I'm going to be keeping a close eye on. One of the best gaming experiences I've had this year. Number 47, Batman Arkham Knight for the PlayStation 4. I've been waiting for this game for a very long time. And this isn't just completed, this is with every single Riddler medal and all side missions completed. I could not put this game down. I played it so much that my PlayStation 4 actually ended up breaking about 4 or 5 medals away from 100% completion. I went straight out, bought another PlayStation 4 and continued. One of the very best games of the year, and such a great way to end the Arkham series. Number 48, Valiant Hearts The Great War for the PlayStation 4. Another game I got for free with PlayStation Plus, and I had such fun playing this game. The game's got a really cool sort of comic booky art style that's been using the same engine as the later Rayman games, and really does tug on those old heartstrings when you actually find out stories from back in the war. The game is apparently set to true events, and honestly, I'm probably going to play this game again too. I really enjoyed this one. Number 49, Lara Croft Go for Android. So this is part of that Go series. There's a Hitman Go as well, but Lara Croft Go is one that I've been keeping an eye on since E3. And although everyone else got quite bored when they announced all those Android games, this one actually really perked my interest. And although there were 1 or 2 puzzles that absolutely stumped me, that's the charm of this game. It doesn't play like any other Tomb Raider or Lara Croft game. It's basically a puzzle game. I had great fun with this one, and I do hope they make a sequel to it. Definitely worth checking out. Number 50, Shovel Knight for the PlayStation Vita. People have been going on about this game for so long, but I knew I wanted to play it on the Vita. There's something about the way that the PS Vita holds and it feels and the way it looks that I knew this is the device I wanted to play it on. I kept checking it wasn't out, and then randomly it was. I cannot praise this game enough. It's the perfect homage to old school NES and Master System games. Saying I'm probably going to play this game every year or so is such an obvious statement. I had great fun playing this, and I'm so happy I finally have. Bring on the amiibo. Number 51, Kid Icarus Uprising for the 3DS. Now I've had this one on my radar for a really long time, but I did hear quite a few complaints about the 3D. It's such a fast-paced game that you end up moving around quite a bit, and Nintendo even gave a stand away to try and help it. However, when I got my new Nintendo 3DS, I knew this was a game I wanted to pick up and try. And honestly, I had so much fun playing the game. That was until I was about halfway through, and then the game really drags. It goes on and on and on. I don't want people to be put off by that, because, you know, we don't all want short games, but this game just felt like it was so long-winded that it almost takes away from the final product, for me at least. With that said, if they ever make a sequel to this sort of Kid Icarus game, I'm definitely going to pick it up. The graphics are gorgeous, almost unbelievable for a 3DS. The 3D is probably the best I've ever seen on the 3DS, minus Outrun, and I'm definitely happy to have it in my collection. Number 52, Uncharted. The Uncharted series is definitely one of my favourite games on the PlayStation 3. And although number 1 is quite dated and clunky now compared to number 2 and 3, it's still so good, which is why I knew I had to get Uncharted the Nathan Drake collection for my PlayStation 4. Play through this game again was great fun. I'm already most of the way through Uncharted 2, and although I know I'm in the minority, I think number 3 is the best in the franchise. Sure, the dialogue is cheesy as hell in times. I don't think I've ever played a game where you really do feel like you're controlling a big AAA Hollywood blockbuster movie. A great game and a great way to end the list. So yeah, like I said guys, this is my 52 game challenge. I'm not going to stop there, I'm probably going to get it up to about 60 odd by the end of the year. I've had great fun keeping up with this list. And like I said, I'm not normally a gamer that likes to complete games, and I've got quite a short attention span, so this really did help me. And if you're the same, I highly suggest you give it a go too. You'd be surprised to see how many games you actually do complete in a year. Almost like a video game diary. So yeah, I just want to say a big thanks to Retro Collect for actually putting this on and keeping track of the scores. So yeah, that was my 52 game challenge. Thanks for watching the video if you've made it this far. If you want to see a couple of videos that I've already done, click any of the links that you see here. Click on that beautiful P shape right in the middle of the screen to support me over on Patreon. You can subscribe as well, and you can find me on social media by searching for Slopes Game Room. This is DJ Slopes signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.